Good morning. Today, 29 July 2024, we are going to discuss editorials of The Hindu. Here on the first page, yesterday, Manu Bhaker won medal in bronze category. Many congratulations to her. We have started officially the medal tally in Olympic Games, Paris. Let's see how far it goes. Today's discussion, first article here, it talks about mental illness for homelessness people. We will discuss this article in detail. Second article here, it talks about Niti Aayog. We'll discuss this article also in detail. Third article here, it is about the plastic pollution. What are all the major responsibilities need to be taken by many of the organizations, those who are making plastic pollution. We'll discuss this article also in detail. The next article here, recently you might have heard of Pooja Khedkar, who was a trainee officer. She came into service through fake certificates. So debate is happening across India over disabled reservation. So this article we will discuss in detail. Today's quote, injustice everywhere is threat to justice everywhere. What does this mean? It is given by Martin Luther King. In one area, let us suppose say USA, let us suppose say here one more country, India. You are accepting injustice here. That means people slowly, those injustice value propagate into India, then people accept that. That's what injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. Justice is same wherever you go. Justice should be the same. This is the universal value, universal ethical value that should not change from place to place, like moral values. So it is justice is ethical value. So at one location, injustice means it may propagate to another location. The justice become injustice. First article here, it is about the mental illness of the homelessness people. Our social, normal, cultural representation mentions these homeless persons living with mental illness. Tell them to refuse seekers. This makes rescue missions focusing on them. They transfers them either voluntarily or coercively to mental hospitals, shelter homes, beggar homes, even prisons too. The assumption is homeless person living with mental illness must be displaced from streets because they may pose a risk to many of the people. While this is valid, but this can be debatable how they are posing without taking proper action. We are just disposing people from one location to another location, and by forcefully we are putting them in mental hospitals, shelter homes, beggar homes, and even prisons too. The research is written by mental health professional and bureaucrat. Their perspective involved, it was limited over 2 decades ago, but they prioritized two things, shelter and treatment over agency, choice and placemaking. So they decided three factors they choose: shelter and treatment agency, choice and placemaking, instead of putting them in jail and all. So they chosen this factor. Social order, socially, these people may not be acceptable, and as per our customs, our imagination, we have pre-nominated assumptions. These people should be located from the society. These will set up dominant narrative. They should not be in the society like that. So these are very well intentioned, and also the social world in which we are living may not be aligned to most of the day. That means whatever happening in the present thing and requires a non-typical way of thinking. Typically, we think these people are not good. Homeless person, they should be sheltered somewhere, somewhere in the prison, somewhere in the mental hospital. But this needs a careful thinking, engagement with living persons. What this responsiveness constitutes when homeless people made affiliations with local support circle, include homeless person, local eateries and pets. They often feel sense of belongingness. More significant among many of the truths, that is narrative of oppression, scarcity, abuse, exposure to difficult weather conditions. These are and these conditions exacerbate increases, and then it can make them to psychosis person also. Consequently, what we do, we will understand very little of the problem, and it requires more than understanding. It requires more than thinking. We need to think in different and complex point of view to understand what they deserve. There are several efforts have been taken. A noteworthy one is homeless person living with mental illness. They, for them, National Health Mission, Tamil Nadu Department of Health, Institute of Mental Health, the Banyan and Ajim Premji Foundation, local society organization, they collaborated. This resulted in emergency care and recovery center within the district hospitals. They have integrated. This helped in two ways. Earlier, there was a huge domination when they were included in the treatment spaces. There are many stereotypical identities, such as this person is mentally ill, this person is with certain disease. Such a kind of stereotypical identity has been removed, and it also served ECRCs immediately addressing their need and last mile proximal care, whatever they are facing, and crisis responses even in scattered geographic also. Suppose one person is living in one area, another person is living in area, so this last mile connectivity also included. There are many issues in present facing overcrowding, limited human service professional, use of restraint, poor personal attention, impacted care ecologies globally, not only just in India. Design and socio-architecture transformation locates care in these small units, and it is goodly, very well staffed, and mandated personal attention, better medical care to address a person with more than one or two diseases commonly found among those living with mental illness. While there are policy changes in their progress, a deeper engagement and long-term commitment can definitely lead a good result. We also examine why and their rights are stripped away, attitude and practice of society, and care professional develop leadership governance system that are more adaptive, dynamic, reflective, address the dilemmas and contested issues. So we need to critically examine these things, even though there are several initiatives that government has been taken, but why they have not taken adequate care? Why they just removed from the society and then just viewed as mentally ill people? In this context, those who are sleeping rough, they require certain care. Even if you brush their head, their head, this basically deserves a careful consideration. If you shave their head, it reflects renunciation. So this basically, conflicted with mental illness approach. Their approach involved continuous engagement with them, drawing framework for admission with individual agency. While intervention can be significant, the hardship on the street real, very tough, that yields to often poor outcomes. More than 57% of the people living in state psychiatric facility, other care homes experience long-term needs. So basically, what is the problem with institutional spaces? 37% of the people living in long-term duration, they have been brought into homelessness or these institutions because of the police action or judicial intervention. Supreme Court of India in 2007, in response to public interest litigation (PIL), mandated state government to take rehabilitative measures for persons with mental illness. Department of empowerment of persons with disability that comes under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment even filed guidelines for rehabilitation homes. Unfortunately, re-entry pathways for those living in these psychiatric facilities remain very tough. They cannot be again integrated with the society. They are transferred from semi-institutional to trans-institutional, again jeopardizing their lives. Even the considerations are very limited. Who is cured, whether he is ready for he or she ready for discharge. These kind of deterministic expectation even imposes a lot of actions on them. When they are continuously isolated from the societal resources and participation on equal terms with the rest of the people, the institution, instead of giving justice to them, it violates their life and rights, and even violates right to equality. Globally and in India, Housing First and Tarasha, they offered comprehensive social and clinical care, demonstrated feasibility of groundful options for those ranging with disabilities and clinical needs. 700 people accessed housing support, social care through House Again Collaborative with 9 states. It started in 2018. This is adopted by Government of Tamil Nadu and other stakeholders also across the India. There are several things they have taken. Those they transferred from hospital to mild moderate disabilities. They facilitated them like hostel like co-living facility that symbolized enhanced social capital security rather than rehabilitation homes that are considered social protection and support measures for homeless people with mental illness requires a radical shift, reframing what previously followed approach. Giving them a monthly stipend of 1500 could be a critical lifeline. By addressing our bureaucratic issues, by securing the Aadhaar card and linking this with the bank, we can create a financial inclusion and economic empowerment. The documentation and financial must be completed by imaginative and holistic approaches. And we need to employ structural issues removal, discrimination, violence against them, their segregation, deprivation. These need to be addressed ethically and empathically. Towards the end, social care and post-discharge support must be strengthened, integrated with district mental health program. Mental health, they need social support. Initiatives led by state and non-state actors and service engagement among 800 mental health service users. They exited emergency care research center over 3 years ago, and they recovered 75% of discharge. Advancing them, economic justice also depends on systemic barriers, elevating insights from marginalized groups, creating transformative models for their further inclusion. One more aspect we need to look for is workforce participation. It becomes powerful tool for economic space. Employment models which are following traditionally and vocational training institutes are disconnected from contemporary economic realities. They fail to account individual agency, strength, and aspirations. Narrow options to productivity, consistency, social cooperations among the people living with this mental illness need to be promoted, and a sense of labor will also promote community engagement and give them a purpose. Efforts must extend to cultivating social capital, implementing affirmative action policies that are socioeconomic, cultural, and political inclusion of HPMI. Tamil Nadu is the first state that will soon release a policy that will integrate many of these pragmatic approaches. That's what author saying. It is hope this multifaceted approach will challenge the reductionist view of HPMI as a mere recipient of the charity those benefits from their circumstances. This policy framework will advocate give them honor to honor and respect their choices and support right to claim place in their own terms. Next article here, it is about Niti Aayog. Recently, a ninth governing council meeting took place by Niti Aayog, chaired by Prime Minister. 10 states and union territory skipped the meeting, and even 7 of them boycotted. So it is in this scenario that the role of this think tank, Niti Aayog, becomes very contentious. Chief Minister from various states such as Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Telangana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, Jharkhand did it because concerns with lack of allocations and projects to their states in union budget. Recently, budget has been presented. This state didn't get much priorities. But boycott, later walkout by Chief Minister of West Bengal, it suggests that role of think tank limiting itself to advisory body. Even it has led to disenchantment among the states. States are divided. Even protests were limited to leaders belonging to political opposition. Though government ruling is NDA, all those who boycotted are opposition. However, there is a need to consider why Niti Aayog has been reduced to advisory body, and it has been failing to observe the rules. Niti Aayog was constituted in first term of India government. It replaced the planning commission, and it did away with the top-down approach. It followed cooperative federalism, that is bottom-up approach, limiting itself to advisory body without any powers, without any power to resource distribution, allocations to states and other bodies, and focusing clearly on creating indices to evaluation states. It led to many of the consequences of competitive federalism. And the finance ministry has huge powers to make grants to the states. Planning commission had also such a kind of issues. However, when it comes to grant, it took the consultation with the states in such matters. Further, India government heavily depend upon the parties from Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. They got good amount of allocation in the recent budget. The finance minister have not been allowing the demand of other opposition engines. Irrespective of the merit of these issues, the fact is consultation with the states on grants and projects have become limited at the end of the planning commission. Soon after Niti Aayog came, these issues slowly disengaged and consultation with slowly dropped. 16th Finance Commission is tasked with horizontal imbalance among the states, and Finance Ministry is focusing on macroeconomic stability and financial system. What is why 16th Finance Commission? Why they are doing with horizontal imbalance? Horizontal imbalance, 41% of the tax revenue need to be distributed among the states. So they will do away with this. There are certain parameters they have allocated. So they will allocate a budget to each state based on 16th Finance Commission recommendation. The need to address infrastructure and capital investment in states somewhat requires institution backing at the center as well, irrespective of whether it is opposition or ruling party. The government at the center should take care of all these things. At the same time, Niti Aayog must re-envisioned to bring back some of the responsibilities the Planning Commission once had for the states to ensure the true cooperative federalism. This is the article. Next article is about plastic mess. Why plastic waste is increasing? This article will discuss some. Like any other large economies, India is the fifth largest economy. It facing a significant plastic waste problem. A report by Central Pollution Control Board that 4 million tons of plastic waste are generated annually. 4 million means 40 lakh tons. However, only one fourth, that means 10 lakh ton of plastic waste is recycled or treated, with the rest ending up in landfills, disposed here and there, and it leads to unsustainable growth. Plastic waste management rule mandates users of plastics are responsible for collecting and recycling their waste. These requirements are mentioned in extended producer responsibility rules. They were initially voluntary but now enforced through extended producer responsibility trading platform. It involves packagers, importers, large industrial users collect their packaging to do the recycling. They are registered with CPCB. If we discuss with extended producer responsibility, basically suppose say one shampoo company is there, Santur. What they do, they release the sachets, they sell the sachets. Those sachets, as we don't know about environment, we just dispose somewhere. What they need to do, Santur company need to collect these sachets. This is as per extended producer responsibility. They need to collect and then they need to recycle. They all should be registered with Central Pollution Control Board. Recyclers, they have to collect the waste, recycle the waste, receive validated certificate on each ton how much they have recycled. This certificate can finally be uploaded on the dedicated Central Pollution Control Board portal. Their annual packaging targets in 2022-23, in that year, Central Pollution Control Board estimated they have nearly 3.7 million tons of recycled plastic waste generated. And they have provided the certificate 3.7 million. How much we discuss? 4 million plastic tons. So this is almost good, awesome work we are doing. But story not ends here. It was discovered that all these certificates were legitimate. However, 6 lakh fraudulent certificate they have provided. Not all of them were legitimate. 6 lakh were fraudulent. Hackers, what they do? They stole several thousands of certificate last year and sold them to company at a good prices. Criminal investigation is going on. It remains to see. It is unclear how much of estimated 3.7 million tons are genuinely recycled. Central Pollution Control Board, in this response, they have taken two significant actions. They commissioned audit of nearly 800 firms, representing almost 2,300 registered recyclers. So they have selected 800 firms and then they are conducting auditing. It undertook Central Pollution Control Board undertook comprehensive overhaul of the security features of extended producer responsibility platform. Although this has been delayed filing returns for 23 by several months. Central Pollution Control Board described these problems as teething issues associated with implementing large-scale electronic system. Well, audit is anyhow required. It should be one-time initiative to avoid undermining trust in the system with annual and lengthy investigation. It should be conducted once and then rest of the action should be taken. CPCB has authority to impose heavy fines. The process is very lengthy, fraught with many other legal challenges. Suppose say it goes, CPCB goes and calls Farm A is fraud. Then what they do? They file a case in court. CPC, Central Pollution Control Board, has to deal legally. This process goes on and goes on, goes on. So this year target we will miss basically. Market-driven approach to solving plastic waste is significant, but it has limited effect. Greater efforts must be made to curb this plastic pollution and promote sustainable alternatives. Sustainable Development Goals, goal number 13, climate change, life below water, life on land. These goals need to be correctly taken. We have even reducing the plastic waste. We have even discussed 75 points. So these things must be tackled. Addressing the root cause of plastic waste, enhancing the effectiveness of recycling system is crucial in mitigating India's plastic waste problem. Next article here, the defending disability reservations. We'll discuss this article. Pooja Khedkar, recent IAS trainee officer, faked her disability certificate and she obtained some benefits. This ignited a debate across India over reservation granted to person with disabilities. Even some people, very powerful, former chief executive officer of Niti Aayog, he tweeted on the X, reservation for PWTs need to be reviewed and even it gone to extend that it should not be given. Though later he clarified, even Smita Sabharwal, IAS officer, she also made a comment on reservations for persons with disabilities. These similar comments from such as civil servants, they raise troubling questions about societal attitude towards disabilities and reservation policies. How many disabled individuals have these offers interacted with them or opportunity to know whether they have known them, whether they have opportunity to interact with them, whether anyone, those who are commenting, they does know challenges faced by person with disability, whether they know during a session or workshop. Deep rooted these comments reflect our lived realities of many persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities face multiple barriers for their effective participation in society, in workforce also. Infrastructural challenges are there, educational system, exam curricula, formats. They designed for most suitable and able-bodied individuals. But when it comes to disabled people, this is not at recently we discussed one more article also, reasonable accommodations. Government should do some, provide some ramp, provide lifts wherever to allocate facilities to person with disability. But whether such facilities are available, leave, at least government institution are providing. But when you go to private institutes, such a facilities are lacking. So we all are living in the same society. We must live with right and dignity. We have the fundamental right. Reservation policies aim to level the playing field by promoting and providing equitable opportunities to persons with disability. Few individuals exploiting these benefits should not overlook the broader purpose and impact of such policies. Those who are coming from very poor and very background, they can be benefited and their entire family need not to be depend upon them. So they can live independently. There are generalization based on some one or two incident. It is very unfair and counterproductive. Certain offers have asked whether PWDs hold position within civil services have physical fitness to fulfill their duties. Such a statement reflects unconsciousness bias many people hold against PWDs. Persons with disability face challenges in both education and employment sectors, but they are hardly highlighted. In 76th round of national sample survey, only 23.8% of PWDs were employed. In labor force participation rate at national level, it is just 50.2% at the same year in 2018. There are many reasons why it has been done. Lack of accessible education, stigma and biases at the hiring stage, reasonable accommodation at the workplace for persons with disabilities. These structural issues, even they never pointed out. Today they come and they comment about whether these individuals need reservation or not. For instance, we'll take example of Karthik Kansal. He is affected by muscular dystrophy. He not allowed in he though he cleared civil service examination 4 times. You can read about him, Karthik Kansal. He was not allotted to Union Public Service Commission. Similarly, Ira Singhal, she is the first rank in civil service examination. She had to approach a central administrative tribunal to secure her rightful posting after having secured, such a good rank. These are the moments. These those who are giving knowledge and those who are intellectually highly educated should think about and then think about the society. Supreme Court during Vikas Kumar versus UPSC case told that those if person with disabilities they choose their own writers, basically scribes, with a disability percent less than 40%, might misuse the provision. The argument they have made that those who are with 40% less than disability, they cannot choose whether they can choose or not. When some people, those carrying chits and then doing, cheating in the examination, whether changing the dress code and imposing those conditions will be equal to not copying? No. We need to punish those students. Same goes with the person with disabilities also. We need to punish those who obtained wrongful reservation instead of imposing the limitation on entire population of person with disabilities. India's certificate system for disabilities also have significant flaws. The practice of quantifying disability by percentage is how much percentage, 40%, 50% disability is very large, old and outdated. It is not supported by United Nations Convention on Persons with Disability. There are functional limitations. This should be basis for assessment. UPSC insists on separate and independent disability assessment, and so this gives room for fake certificates. The complicated guidelines prescribed by state are often unrealistic, and even district hospital also they put a lot of constraints. Even there are infrastructure and resources. This leaves assessment of disability and open to interpretation. Psychological disabilities, they are outdated in idea scale. In many cases, there are tests not even conducted. Person with invisible, hidden, even less apparent disabilities such as blood disorder often face rejection because they do not look like disabled. India, people even if they look like disabled, so people won't believe. If do not look like disabled means it should be left to God. The focus should be addressing on these systemic issues. Mrs. Khedkar's alleged fraudulent activity should be met with stringent punishment. Instead of punishing her, talking about entire reservations for person with disability is highly unwarranted, and it is against the reservation system that provides crucial support to marginalized group, that is a person with disabilities. So this is the discussion. Thank you.